All right, guys, good morning. Good morning. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of GAR Capital. It is Monday, January 23rd, 2023. Not exactly a happy Monday because my Cowboys, of course, break my heart again. So let's just get it out of the way. What can I do? This is been going through this since 1995. The last time the Cowboys have won the Super Bowl, I was 10 years old, or 9 years old when they won. So it'd be nice to see the Cowboys actually do something before I grow to 80 years old in the future. So great game by the Niners. Congratulations to them. Eagles and 49ers are going to be a great game. The two best teams in the NFC. Joe Burrow is the man. I'm a Joe Burrow fan, so I hope I don't ruin Cincinnati's hopes, but I'm pulling for Joe Burrow and the Bengals. The city of Cincinnati deserves a ring. Philly got one, 49ers got one, Chiefs already got one, so why not run with the Bengals? So go Joe Burrow, go get him. All right, now back to the most important stuff. Let's go ahead and get started with the week. Brand new week, it's Monday. I went ahead and sent out our investment recap video, or kind of the preview for the new year. Just got to finish up the report so I can get the other ends and the charts and stuff like that for Investment Club. So Investment Club members, if you haven't, maybe you were busy watching football this weekend, or you guys were just enjoying your weekend, the video is up there. Feel free to take a look. I still got a couple more things to do. Top 10 stocks of 2023 is coming. I already have the list. I'm just making sure there's one or two that I can remove. There's one name in particular that we're still not sure if we want to add to or not, but we'll leave it there. But in regards to all that, more stuff is coming, which is great. I'm trying to get that all done because, as you know, tax season is officially underway. And again, as a trader is one thing, but doing it as a company, as an LLC, pass-through S Corp, and all that jazz, it takes a lot of time. But again, I do that after hours as much as I can. So trying to just kind of balance as much all I can with the market and stuff like that. Getting 1099s out, getting all these W-2s out, that's always fun. So let's go ahead and get started with the market. Dow up 95 points, NASDAQ up about 0.18%, S&P up 0.17%, Russell up 0.10%. So some of the headlines today, quickly, Elliott Management, an active investor or active investors that take over the board, they took a sizable, or I guess they took a position in Salesforce, CRM. So if we remember, CRM has been absolutely beaten down lately in the past year. We know that, and you can see now it's at run 51 after trading at 311 at the peak. This is a high beta software company. A couple things that do help. Obviously, an active investor does help. It shows confidence in the company for future growth. And the second part, the dollar coming down. The dollar is up today 0.17%, but again, still holding that support. Again, that's going to really help information technology that does business overseas, since they have to repatriate money. And that's a tax thing. But in terms of actually gaining revenue, they get revenue, let's say in Japan or in other countries, in their local currency. They have to change it to dollars. If they do and the dollar is strong, they're going to make less back in return. So again, when the dollar is higher, that's a headwind against EPS. But when the dollar is down, again, something that I've been pounding the table on, that's actually a tailwind for stock. So again, if we can get that damn dollar to get to around $100 a level, 100 level, not $100, 100 level, then I think that'll be a nice little boon to earnings. But CRM is up this morning on that news on Sunday. We tweeted that Wall Street Journal article as well. Wayfair got like a triple upgrade from like 3 investment banks, so they're up this morning. Again, another one that was up this morning is Spotify. Spotify is letting go of some workers. They're laying off workers. The market likes that. It's a boost to the bottom line, less labor costs. Shopify, I would kind of equate in that space with Wayfair. They're up this morning for around $42 a share from 40. So again, we're starting to see a little bit of risk taking here, seeing that these active investors, these managers are trying to get into these beaten down companies. The only thing kind of the other trigger I want to see is if insiders are starting to buy. That's kind of important. I think that one of the head of the board of directors of NVIDIA was selling about like $5 million worth of shares. So again, if we can start seeing some insiders buying, then that'll kind of give us a little bit more clarity on if the bottom is truly in from October 11th. Let's go ahead and go to commodity land. Crude oil up 0.71%. We also have gasoline up 1%. Gold down 0.32%, dollar being slightly higher. Silver futures down 2.86%, copper down about 0.5%. We talked about copper many times. Euro dollar is now flat, about 3 pips down, 130.69 for the dollar yen. Pound dollar down 0.54%, 66 pips. Dollar yen's 130.69, up 113 pips, excuse me. Bitcoin continues to run. The level we're looking for is 25,000. Just keep that number in the back of your head. That is a key level for Bitcoin. That's the level that I'm looking for. I have an alert there, not necessarily to buy more, but where we can actually see a decent breakout. We are now above the 200 MA on Bitcoin itself. Ethereum down 1.5%, 1623. So not all is well in crypto land as the dollar's higher, but Bitcoin catching some bids. Volatility index is hovering around 20, down up about 1.41%. And 10-year treasury yields are up at 3.536 this morning with a little bit of a push higher, but not, about 1.49% in terms of the yield. Let's go ahead and get to some questions. Jeremy saying, good morning, Los. Can we look at NVIDIA's chart, please? Of course we can. Let's go ahead and take a look at NVIDIA. All right, we'll go ahead and start with a trading perspective of NVIDIA. We are now, let's take a look at the daily. Okay, so question is, do we have resistance right around 188 to around 190? That's kind of the key level. I have an alert above 204, but what I'm looking for, at least short term, is that we already filled this gap here. So really, oh wow, not a lot of edge here. Well, good news, we are up this morning to 181. So that gets us to around here. Kind of running out of room here. Maybe it gets to 185, so that's pretty close to the money. If not, you're going to the 190s for a possible call. I don't love the setup, but if we wanted to get into that trade, oh man, it's just too close for comfort. I guess above 185, you can take a look at the 192s if they have that strike. But again, you're getting up to resistance. More likely, we could break out if we break out of that downward trend line on the S&P 500. But NVIDIA is actually bouncing back very, very nicely. And we got another golden cross possibly coming up. If that 50 gets above that red line, that 200-day, could get very interesting for the bulls out there, Jeremy. But in terms of trading it, not much. In terms of investing in it, you're on the 50 weekly MA. That's a good sign. We're above the 200. But again, right when this golden cross comes in and this 50 gets above the 200, that'll get us enough juice, in my opinion, to get us up to around 205 a share on NVIDIA. Get back to the 200 level. 200's very, very important for NVIDIA shareholders. Let's go ahead and get back to something else. Let's go to Disney this morning. Disney, we had the trade on Disney Friday. I still held mine. Beautiful breakout. We're right on the 200-day. We need to get above 103.68. That's the 200 MA. Let me see if I can place an alert there. I'll put it at 103.73. If that does break, guys, you probably have another shot, maybe to 107.16. Not a ton of edge, but maybe the 105s, if you haven't already, could be worth it. But you have to break above the 200. If you're already closed, this trade setup, great. But that's what we were looking for. We played this breakout here above the 50 as our jump off. And the 200 MA was the target. We have not hit it yet. We're almost there. Then I'll probably close my position on Disney. If you guys caught it last week, excuse me. Morning, do you like Suave? I think of Suave, I think of the shampoo. I don't know what Suave is. Is Shockwave Medical? Hourly, not much there. On the daily, in terms of edge, anything that's a good setup here. Oof. I don't know much about Suave, but again, I'm just going to go by the technicals here. There isn't much to go by. You might have support around 160. You have extreme support here around 114. Again, I'd have to take a look a little bit at their financials, maybe their EPS growth, their earnings and such. At least they do make they actually make money the last 5 quarters, which is good to see from a negative EPS estimate here. So the last 5 quarters have been at least profitable, but again, we need to see if we get at least to 160. But if you guys want to let me know a little more about the company, but other than that, I'm just looking at the technical charts, there really isn't much edge, and you're not near a support level where it makes it more compelling to buy. You're just not there yet. Let's go ahead. Not much to go on today. Well, let's go ahead and take a look here, guys, at the earnings. We got earnings coming. So we have, after today's bell, nothing really special. Tomorrow we have Verizon in the morning, Johnson & Johnson, Lockheed Martin, Halliburton, General Electric, Raytheon, 3M, Union Pacific. So again, a very industrial heavy earnings report setup. Verizon, we're going to keep an eye on. We know that's a utility. They've been down with AT&T. Those dividend payments get very, very expensive. T-Mobile is basically eating their lunch. They don't have to pay a dividend. So again, Verizon is really beholden to the shareholders and dividends. Do they announce a higher dividend? Do they announce some buybacks? That's what I'm looking for. Johnson & Johnson. I don't expect much from them. I mean, we know what they are, kind of a consumer staple. Yes, hybrid with healthcare. Healthcare has been kind of pulling back a little bit, as we talked about. I talked about the investment club video. But Johnson & Johnson, we know they're pretty stable. I want to see if they have any kind of talk of buybacks as well. Maybe a dividend increase as well. Or they have at least some commentary on forecasts would be nice. Microsoft on Tuesday would probably be the big one, because that's going to give us the information technology setup. Is the cloud still working? Computer sales, that sort of deal. The kind of a consumer discretionary / cloud hybrid enterprise. So again, Microsoft's commentary on future layoffs, on maybe more stock buybacks, a dividend increase, something that's going to get the shareholders excited. And also I want to hear some commentary on ChatGPT. I think they did take a stake and they bought it for about $10 billion. I really want to hear any commentary from the CEO regarding what they're going to do with that system, and how they may integrate it to maybe a Microsoft Office, which has been a very profitable program for Microsoft. Or they can actually integrate it into their cloud services. Who knows? But Microsoft is a very important one on Tuesday. Wednesday, Boeing, a stock I'm watching very, very closely. Really, really nice chart there. Again, let's see if Boeing actually has a positive EPS this go around. How are those deliveries? Are they going to reinstitute a dividend or reinstitute a buyback? Do we have any forecast from that? Boeing has a lot to prove after their big, big move from being down. AT&T, same boat as Verizon. Want to hear more about if they're going to go ahead and increase the dividend, or what they're going to do to shore up the balance sheet. Any commentary on that DirecTV possible spinoff? Very, very important. AT&T is under a lot of debt. So is Verizon. I want to hear about their commentary on how they're going to tackle that debt in a increased rate environment, but yet falling rate environment. So again, let's keep that on the back of our heads. Progressive Insurance, ASML, Abbott Technologies, NASDAQ, NextEra Energy. Again, big names, Hess, ADP, but again, nothing in terms of trading is going to be that exciting. Tesla reports on Wednesday. Expect those IVs to be a little bit wild. Let's go ahead and chart each while we go through each real quick. So the first one I'm going to say that stands out to me. Let's go do Microsoft together. All right, Microsoft reports on Tuesday after the bell. I have an alert at 242.77 for a possible breakout where we can take a look, and I pretty much am certain the 250 calls will probably have the highest volume on the board. Really, the target you're looking for here, guys, is your 200 MA if we go higher. If we do reject 242.77, you're basically going to get back down to the 230 to the 221 level. So pretty binary on this trade. Unless we actually get a break of 242.77, I may want to ride calls at least to 250 while getting the hell out by tomorrow close. So again, we could probably ride that trade higher if we get there. Remember, Netflix had a decent quarter, at least in reaction, a good reaction to their quarter. Microsoft, we'll see what they do. Boeing, I traded it last week. Didn't catch it. We just got chopped up, which really sucks. I hate that name sometimes. Boeing on the daily, we do have a gap to fill down here. But again, you could see that there's not much edge here. I guess you can start targeting 215, 216, but you need to bounce off that 200 MA on the 1 hour. Really need to get above 219, guys. That's really it. If you can get above 219, then you can target 230 for that 200 weekly MA. So I'd sit this one out, but again, look at the move that we've gotten since the October lows, 120 to 206. That's a nice move. Now Boeing has to prove, was it worth the move that they got in addition to their market cap? Let's go ahead and go over Tesla. All right, we'll go to Tesla here on the daily 2-year. And again, I have an alert at 139.21. I would target that 50 MA at 155 or 154. If that was the case, maybe play the run up. Again, they're going to be expensive. I'd want to get out right before earnings, possibly leave a runner and see if earnings can take us home. We'd have a little more time on our hands. In terms of the weekly MA, you're still below the 200 MA. You need to get above that before anything gets really interesting in terms of buying. Well, Carlos, I could have bought at 100. 100 was a target, sure, but you also have a gap to fill at 83.23. I'd feel a lot better if we filled that gap somehow, but that $100 level was a pretty big psychological level for a lot of people, and that seemed to be that kind of bidding up level where everyone had pretty much a limit order on at 100, or the shorts actually had their stop right there at 100 as well. So you can see a 33% bounce literally since the lows of January in the last 3 weeks. So top that up to lower rates, higher beta names running in tandem. Let's see if Tesla has any commentary on their deliveries. I want to hear if anything has to do with Twitter. I want to hear if Twitter even comes out of their mouth, out of Elon's mouth in this meeting or this conference call. Deliveries, I want to hear about the new gigafactories. I want to hear about the Cybertruck. I think it's time that Tesla shareholders like me need to start saying, hey, that Cybertruck, when is it coming out? Because we're seeing that prices are being slashed. Used Tesla prices are being slashed. Now that doesn't affect Tesla as much, but new deliveries are important. What are we going to hear about that Cybertruck? Are we going to hear about the Roadster? Are we going to finally hear about the full self-driving technology? Tesla, we need to hear something this time. If your stock is up 33% in about 3 weeks, something's got to give. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if we did fall on Tesla as well. If the shareholders are not happy with the news updates that Elon may have. American Airlines reports on Thursday. Southwest, Nokia, Valero, MasterCard, JetBlue, Northrop Grumman. So anything here that stands out? Let's go ahead and take a look at AAL. AAL on the daily. Nice breakout for airlines, but we have a gap to fill at 1551. So be careful. That might be a short, if anything. We may fill this gap here and then possibly bounce if it's a really good call, but more than likely, American Airlines, we know that Delta had their call. They had a pretty decent, actually AAL had the preliminary call and they did well. And you can see how much they're up since the beginning of the year from around 12 to 16. So now American Airlines has to prove, hey, this preliminary call, let's see how your forecasting is as well. Any speaking of buybacks, any speaking of dividends, how's that cash flow? Or do they still have, the full capacity on their jets? Is demand still strong? But again, that gap to fill on the daily still looms right around 1550. So don't be surprised. That might get filled. It could bounce. But again, technically speaking, looks like a little more downside action on AAL. For all we know, it could run down to that gap fill ahead of the earnings report as we get to it. That's happened before. So again, keep that in the back of your mind as well. We'll go to Southwest Airlines. We know that they had that disaster of a weekend holiday. I think it was a holiday setup where they lost baggage. Everything was canceled. It was a mess with FAA. So we could see that we came from the beginning of the year to 32 to 37. AAL is outperforming them. Obviously, 38.53 is that 200 MA. If you break above, possibly 40 being a resistance. I would not trade this ahead of earnings. I'd want to see if this gets above this 200 MA. This would only give me at least a look on maybe breaking out of 40. This is why I like the Jets ETF. You don't have so much concentration on one airline. The Jets ETF has them all, and you could see a nice pop from the beginning of the year of around 16 to around 20. Very similar to the AAL move. I think American Airlines is the largest holding of the Jets ETF. Taking a look at Visa, let's see it. Visa's been kind of just choppy, sideways action. The thing I like about Visa, guys, is they're a payment processor. They don't have any, credit risk in terms of consumers. So again, as long as people are spending, Visa is going to be okay. The only thing that Visa would concern me is if unemployment ticks up. If unemployment ticks up, Visa will be the first to get hit. Because they've been pretty stable for the year of 2022. It's been just kind of sideways action, not very volatile. Anything to trade here? Not really. So you have a breakout on the 1 hour possibly, but in terms of volume, and again, I've traded Visa many times, the IV is absolutely terrible. So I wouldn't even touch it. Let's go ahead and take a look at one more to go. Let's go to Chevron, CVX. They report on Friday. See if anything is worth it. I have a target here of 190. You could see kind of that rising trend line here as well. if we go ahead and extend this to the right, kind of stuck in that channel as well. So if we extend it here, I would say about 190 is our overhead target or resistance target. Is it enough to trade it? I mean, at least we have some kind of gasoline demand. Even though demand has fallen, it's picked back up. I think we hit the lowest point of gas prices around $2.99 kind of in the beginning of the year. We started bouncing with the dollar falling. I like Chevron, don't get me wrong. I think Chevron's a hell of a company to own, especially if you want to own energy. But in terms of trading it, we'd have to see if there's any volume possibly in the 188 level, if not the 190s. Maybe buy some time if that's the case. I don't love it, but again, that's something to look at. And we'll do one more, Intel. Intel reports earnings on Thursday after the close. Anything here that stands out to me? Semiconductors I do like, but again, Intel to me is the worst one of them all in terms of growth prospects. They've been buying back stock, and the stock hasn't done much. So again, we need to hear their forecasting. We need to hear their predictions for the chip sector as a whole. What's changed as PC sales at least coming around for Intel? Intel is kind of in that ugly kind of the redheaded stepchild of the other Qualcomms, Broadcoms, AMDs, Nvidias are doing amazing things with their chips, yet Intel is lagging behind. So this is where I'm a little interested in Intel for one reason alone, is acquisition. They may be a little big in terms of market cap, but man, an acquisition wouldn't be a bad idea, or to sell Intel as well. So maybe another company out there in the next market or right before the next bull market or so, a company can take over an Intel, or maybe we get some kind of merger. Maybe we'll see what Intel does, but it's been a long while that Intel has been the talk of the town. If you guys remember the dot-com bubble, dot-com boom, they were the stock to own back then, right around 75. We got as close to 70 during the peak of COVID, or where we had the stimulus and everything like that, the COVID economy, let's just say. But now, in terms of the stretching out timeline, you could see right around 25, 29 is where we are. Not even, I guess you can call it support from the 2016 level at 24.85, if that's a place where you want to buy. But I don't see any growth prospects on an Intel. If you're owning it, it's basically owning it for the yield. Let's see. Well, good morning, Carlos. Thoughts on playing Strangle's options on QQQ this week? Do you think we have more big side, upside, or downside? Let's take a look at Qs together. Okay, we'll bring up the daily here. Again, that trend line looms. You have Microsoft reporting earnings. You have Tesla reporting earnings. Netflix did its job by boosting up Google. It's tough to say because of the fact that that trend line does loom. And you do have Microsoft's earnings, and we do have the Tesla earnings. And Tesla has ran up into earnings. So again, we could get that rejection. It's such a binary event. Could you do a strangle where you just buy, you sell calls, buy puts, or you could buy calls, buy puts? I think at that point, you're really just waiting. I think it's better off just to wait. I don't expect tons of volatility in Qs. I expect volatility in Tesla. So I think that's probably the stock to play if you're looking for a strangle, not Qs personally. Again, when Apple reports, AMD reports, Meta reports, and we have more of those big mega cap names reporting in the same week, I want to say that's next week, then I think Qs would be a little more prudent to trade the way you want to. Just not this week. You're not going to get the volatility that you want in order to get that premium juice that you want. Again, we all want to buy something that we could sell immediately. That's really it. We want to buy something that's in demand, whether it's puts or calls. That's all we're trying to do. We want to buy something that the other person wants to buy, and we can make profit. That's it. All right, guys, we'll go ahead and leave it there. Thanks again for joining me as always. Have a great rest of your morning. We will catch you guys tomorrow for the morning note. Have a great rest of your Monday. See you guys later.